guys, if you were scared, it's just me. Okay, here's my gripe with Star Wars. They don't quite understand what audience they want to be directed towards. I love these movies. I grew up with them. I have the shirt on. Little Skywalker spaceship. Luke Skywalker. In the original trilogy, they had a nice balance between obviously violence, and they also had like banter. There was no swearing. It was relatively kid friendly. There was not really any blood except for one scene. And all the blasters, and nobody really. There was death, but there's death in kids' content anyway.
We made it, Mother!
So, kids and teens mostly were the directed audience, and even adults could go and enjoy it. However, if you watch the first Star Wars trailer, it looks kind of dumb.
An adventure unlike anything on your planet. Star Wars.
Here they come.
If you were to watch the first trailer for Star Wars, and without having ever been exposed to Star Wars before, let's say it was, 76 or 77, whenever it came out, and you just, flicked on the TV and you were watching, you saw that trailer, you'd be like, wow, this looks kind of dumb. This looks kind of dumb. But then your kid wants to go see it. You go watch it and you see, spaceships exploding, fighting. Someone gets choked out within the first 15 minutes. A planet gets destroyed within 30. I think that adults would be able to tolerate it, and their kids would really fucking love it. And I think that the original trilogy did a good job, especially when they got to Empire Strikes Back. Of course, they had a little green man, but, and he was kind of kooky and a little puppet character. Yoda doesn't really get awesome until later, to be honest. But then you see that he's training to become a Jedi. He learns how to use a laser sword and a force and stuff like that. And they get a little bit deeper and a little bit darker and heftier, considering, the whole I am your father and then wham, hand cut off. It's a little bit more, adult. A little bit of kid because there's not blood or anything, but it was kid friendly as long as there wasn't blood. And then we get to Return of the Jedi. We get adult because we have Leia's wearing she's wearing a oh. And then it gets a little more kiddie with these motherfuckers. Now, a lot of people say that the whole thing was a ploy because, George Lucas wanted to sell toys, and I don't doubt that. They're little tiny bears. They do some fucking work, though. They kind of launch some logs at a walker, and, they pull a lot of little tricks, and, they just kind of elbow them in the helmet until they go down or jump on them, and it's like they're fucking adorable. Obviously, that's so kiddie. If I was a parent and I took my kid to that movie after seeing the first two, I would sit down and be like, what the? But then you get the fight at the end, and it's awesome as all hell. And that's really what you're there for as an adult. So it's got a balance of kid and adult stuff. And then you have the prequels. Now, here's what I'm assuming happened. Okay, guys. We gotta figure out, all these kids are coming to be adults. Okay? So what the fuck do we put in this movie to really appeal to them, Okay. What about this? Politics. Yes. Okay, once we do that, we just need to find a way to draw in their kids, because they all have kids now, and they're probably going to bring them to the movies, so how are we going to appeal to them? Don't worry. I already got that covered. Me so many kids! Jar Jar, you card. Oh man. And then he low key gave the Emperor emergency powers so he could supply an army that he would use to. Jar Jar's a Sith. So the prequels decided to just put in a bunch of Senate hearings and politics. As a kid, I don't remember absorbing anything from those hearings. Of course, now I can watch it and be like, yeah, okay, I understand. But the Trade Federation, I didn't know what the fuck that was. So then episode 2, it gets a little bit more serious because it starts out with an explosion. They decided to cut out more Jar Jar. He appeared in the beginning a little bit, but it's a lot less of him. I think they kind of got that feedback. Also, it's not Kid Anakin. Instead, we got Hayden Christensen. And we still have Ewan McGregor, who, by God, I love that man. God, he could punch me in the face and I'd say thank you. Episode 2 also has a very large battle in the Sand Planet. You have big animals. They're expanding more on the lore. You have clone troopers. I feel like that's more of an adult movie. And episode 3 gets even darker. It's more adult. Anakin gotta kill some kids. He murders all of them. They're all dead. Oh, do you think maybe one kid made it out? No. They're all dead. And then we get to more lightsaber dancing. A very intense battle. Anakin loses a lot of limbs. It gets dark. You are my brother, Anakin. I think that episode 3 I actually really like. But I'm also, adult. As a kid, I feel like I enjoyed episode 2 a lot more. But I always watched the original trilogy as a kid too, because we love me some Chewbacca. I love Han Solo. Luke's kind of a whiny baby for a bit. I'm sorry, Mark Hamill. I love you to death, but you were kind of a whiny baby in A New Hope. I'm just saying.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
And then we get to the sequels. Kathleen, what the fuck? They just kind of tossed out movie rights to 3 different directors. And they claimed it was so that way they can have their own creative freedom with it. On paper, it sounds kind of cool, but at the same time, there's no continuity. Because obviously each director has a movie with a vision, and then the other director can have a different vision and totally shit on it, which is kind of what happened with Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Force Awakens, we have beat for beat A New Hope. It's essentially, that's what it is. J.J. Abrams played a very safe bet with it, which is smart in a way, because it was received fairly well and nobody was pissed off about it. And then we got Last Jedi. There were parts where I thought was really cool, which was the lightsaber battle and stuff. I was kind of glad that things were done away, like Snoke. I didn't really fucking care about him. I didn't want him there. He was just Palpatine Part 2, but worse. But that movie is also a lot darker. It has a lot darker themes. There's a lot more death and destruction. Force Awakens is kind of a lot more like classic Star Wars, original trilogy type Star Wars that both audience can enjoy. And then Last Jedi gets a little bit more adult. But the thing is, it's kind of stupid for both adult and kids because they try to put in that casino scene, and it's just kind of dumb for all ages. It was a very messy way to try to tear down what JJ tried to make, which is, it's fair because it all was going in a bad direction. And I'm not quite sure what kind of audience they're trying to go towards, because it seems like they're stretching really far to gear towards both audiences, and they do kind of a poor job. They don't even know what kind of movies they want to be, and it's hard to reach an audience when you don't know what kind of movie you want to be the entire time. Yeah, that's kind of my gripe with Star Wars. They just don't know what kind of audience they want to gear towards. They need to be organized a bit more, and I know Disney's going to beat Star Wars until it's dead to everyone. So that's sad. Hopefully they find their audience and really stick to it. They find a balance between both kid and adult. I think that they did a good job with Marvel over the years. They were very rocky at first with Marvel, and then they really improved over time. So I really hope they find that beat with Star Wars, because right now they're in a very rocky state. So, maybe 20 movies later, it'll be good. Oh God. This was a bit of an impromptu video. I just kind of wanted to get this off of my chest. It was a little bit less scripted than the last one. Subscribe. Check out all these stuff right here. There might be something over there. I don't know. And goodbye.